In this video, we'll discuss the Facebook location targeting options. And here there's a few interesting things that a lot of people don't know. So I guess you will have fun with this one. Now, of course, we'll skip through all of these things over here since we are now interested in targeting, and we'll go ahead to the audience section in the ad set, and we'll create a new audience. And we'll not be selecting any of the custom audiences and go straight to the locations. So first of all, there's the location selection options, and there's 4 of them. First, there's people living in or recently in a certain location. So people whose home or most recent location is within the selected area. Now, people whose home is within the selected area is kind of different. Now, this means that, for example, if you target people living in or recently in this location, it might mean that, for example, if you target Germany and someone from Italy goes to Germany for a little bit and then comes back, you could still be targeting that person when they get to Italy. But that's going to be for quite a short time. So I'm not exactly sure what the period is. I think it's just a few days, so it's not something like a month, I think. Now, next, we have people living in this location. So this means that their home is within the selected area. So if someone lives in Germany and they go to Italy, you can still be targeting them when they're in Italy if their home is in Germany, right? So that does not mean that you're targeting them exactly when they are in Germany. You're targeting them because their home is in Germany and they just live there. But that does not mean that they are there now. Then there's people recently in this location, which says people whose most recent location is within the selected area. This means that this is kind of a little bit more restricting. So you could be targeting Germany, and if someone is from Germany but now they're in Italy, they're not going to be targeted. But when they come back to Germany, they will join that targeting criteria. And people who are traveling in this location would be people whose most recent location is within the selected area, but whose home is more than 200 kilometers away, which can be tricky. So just have that in mind. So generally, people most of the time use people living in or recently in this location. This is kind of the default option and the most used one. If you want to target people who are there to stay and that's important for you, you can choose this option. And if you want people who are in a specific location right now, then that's the best option to go for. For example, if you have a pizza place and you want to target people who are around you, then everyone who passes by and have been recently in this location, then you want to target them. Now, next is the search bar, which has 2 options, include and exclude, which we don't generally touch, and I'll show you why, because there's more than that over here. So this is very interesting. Here you can type lots of stuff. For example, you could type something like Alabama, and it will provide you with, for example, specific cities in Alabama, specific addresses, which is kind of weird, or you could target the entire state of Alabama. Now, you could also target like an entire country like Mexico. You could also target a specific city like New York. And you can see there's the you could target the county, or you could target the city. And in this case, I'm going to target the city. When you target a city, you can decide what radius around it you want to do. So you can select current city only, which will basically target all of New York. Even if you don't see that, that would be New York City itself. You can also target everything within a specific radius. So if you consider the metropolitan area, you can do that as well. So let's say I want to target 55 kilometers around New York City, and I consider that to be New York. So that's kind of the radius targeting. Now that would also be the same as dropping a pin. So for example, if I wanted to target Philadelphia, I could select drop a pin. Then I could drop it on Philadelphia, and this will be specific coordinates where I can target, like for example, a minimum radius of 2 kilometers. I think the minimum is 1. Yep, the minimum is 1 kilometer, and I think the maximum is 80. I don't know if we can lie to it and kind of put something like 100. We can't. Yeah, so the maximum is 80. Now you can get very, very creative with that if you want, just like I showed you in the Google Ads course. For example, let's say if I want to exclude this specific area here in Wilmington, I could do that as well. And here you can see that I can exclude this location. Now, there's also some other cool things in these arrows over here. So for example, if I selected a country, you can include all the areas in that country. You can only include cities, or you can even exclude the cities, right? So if I exclude the cities in Mexico, that would be 121 cities excluded in Mexico that I don't want to be advertising to. But then I can also target Mexico and just target the areas outside of the cities. For example, if that's what I want to do, like you could have 1,000 reasons to do that. And you can see that once you do that, you get some options over here to exclude cities with the following population size. So if they have, let's say, more than 500,000 people, I don't want to target them. But then I could add Mexico again. Whoop, yeah, it actually does it on its own. Sorry about that. And so now I am targeting the whole of Mexico minus these 47 cities. And you can see, for example, I can only target the cities right now. And so now, if you can see what happens, I am targeting specific cities in Mexico, which are with, let's say, at least 500,000 people in population, right? Very, very cool. And I can exclude some specific areas of the map like that. There's also some very interesting things you can do with the search bars. For example, you could target abstract concepts like Europe, for example. Now, Europe is a region, as it states over here, and that region is actually quite big. It has 400 million people in it. It actually has more than that, but that's how many users you have. But sometimes when you target areas like that, you cannot specifically denominate, you can't see the border of that region because it's kind of fuzzy. And yeah, but you are targeting the entire Europe. You can also target Asia as a region, and you can see that we are going to go to a very huge number. Now, within Asia, you can do the same things with the cities. You can also exclude that location. So now, just take a look at this. So for example, if I target Turkey, now Turkey is kind of interesting because part of Turkey is in Europe and the other part is in Asia, right? So if I exclude Asia from my targeting, then that would mean that I am now targeting only the European part of Turkey because Asia is excluded. And so depending on where that map has set the border of Asia, would be that. And this is also very interesting because right now, if we take a look at the city of Istanbul, this is pretty much where the border between Europe and Asia is. It's that little channel over here. And we are not targeting the entirety of Istanbul. We are targeting just the European part over here, but not the Asian part. Now, that's another cool feature of the Facebook targeting. Now, you can also do some very cool stuff with locations in bulk. So there's you can add lists of places that you want to target. So for example, if you want to go for specific zip codes, that's where you do it. You can go for specific towns or cities or countries or regions. So just for the sake of example, I will go for the countries or regions just to show you some examples. So I could target, for example, California, and I could target Canada, or I could target Ontario. Now, since Ontario is in Canada, we'll see what happens there. I could target like specific regions like Catalonia or Lombardy. Lombardy is in Italy. And I can also target, for example, the entirety of France. And then when I click match locations, it's going to show me all of these placements over here. Now, you do have to be careful about this because sometimes it's going to add specific placements that you did not expect. For example, Baja California and Baja California Sur are two different regions. So California, as you know, used to be a part of Mexico before, and it's still called California. That's why a lot of the cities in California have names like San Francisco, which means Saint Francis, and Los Angeles means the angels, and so on. And it's coming from Los Angeles, actually, from Spanish. Now, we just don't want that. We want the what we would call the real California. And you can see that within Canada, we are targeting the entirety of Canada, but because we specifically mentioned Ontario, we are now kind of going by region, right? We're not targeting the entire thing. And I guess I also did not spell Lombardy right. So yes, I ate an R over here. So we're going to have to fix that. So let's just get rid of it from here. I could also have edited it. So let's say I don't want to target these specific places in France over here, because you can see instead of targeting the entire France, when I choose the country region, I am just more and more going for targeting regions instead of countries. So if you want to go for countries, better go for that. Now you can see, like for example, I targeted the region of Catalonia in Spain, and that worked. But in the targeting the entirety of Canada did not work very well. And so let's say if I want to target that to, I could target Lombardy in Italy, and that would work, for example. And this way I can add all the locations. Another important thing to note is that sometimes you really want to target the entire world. Some people really want to do that. I don't know why you would do that within one ad set, but if you want to do that, you would really have to go here to add locations in bulk, select countries, or you could go with regions and say Europe, Asia, North America, South America, and what am I missing here? Australia, and I suppose you don't want to target Antarctica, so we'll go with these for now. And you can see that's kind of tricky to do from here. So you can't do that from the bulk locations. You would have to go from here. And as you can see, if I add Europe, I have all the 400 million people in it that Facebook has access to. If I go with North America, that would be another 350 million, which would include Mexico, Canada, the United States, and the small countries that are kind of considered part of North America. I think like places like Cuba and the Bahamas and so on. I'm not sure though. Anyways, now that's how you would go broad if you go with these abstract concepts that we mentioned. So if I want to target the North America and Europe, then you end up with that. But that then, for example, if let's say you don't want to target Canada, for example, you can then add Canada. Not that anyone doesn't want to target Canada. People in Canada are very nice people, but you can then exclude this location and then target North America again and add that over here. And so we are now targeting Europe and North America, and we don't want to target Canada. Maybe our product is illegal there or something. Great. So another cool thing that I can show you is, first of all, you can hide the map, which is not very useful. And by adding locations in bulk, you can also target designated market areas, which is another cool thing. It pretty much works only in the United States though, and you can target specific addresses. So that might be useful if you download the addresses of your users and put them in. You can pretty much target their neighbors and say something, hey, your neighbor's got a new BMW, why don't you get one, or something like that. Just another interesting way in which you can use that. And another also good way for you to target the entire world is just to download a list of all the countries in the world and paste it. But then you have to go again and review it carefully, because sometimes you might get unexpected results with that as well. Right, so that's pretty much it for the Facebook location targeting options. I hope that you learned some things that you didn't know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.